All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Money. Great to have you aboard. Market, jumped on up here this morning and has pulled back off of its highs, but pretty much holding its gap here. You can see the market is about 2 points lower than where it opened, which, okay. Yeah, not that big of a deal. Had a little bit of punch up, a little bit of punch down. I watched this drop right here and kind of looked at it and said, do we see anything? Do we get anything secondary? And just never materialized here with it. And, some stocks did. Some stocks got some secondary drops, but highly differential day out there in the market with stocks, where you have, where you have Apple up, or where you have Apple down 40 cents and Alibaba up $4. Right? You have just these kind of differences between sectors. You have Adobe down and FedEx up. You have Valero down and other energy names up. It's a very differential day out there. Healthcare getting hit hard here today. Utilities had been hit hard early, but have been bought back late. You can see that sell healthcare, buy financials. That's in the fund manager's mind out there here today. We've seen things like small caps just kind of bleed on lower. We've seen tech, kind of just hold its gap like the SPY, emerging market ETF, just kind of gap up and small bleed lower here throughout the day, but not a whole lot of a whole lot of teeth in a lot of these, but anyway, before we go out and take a look at the challenge and the triggers here, uh, there's been several questions that have come on in, regarding this and regarding, different things out there. And as we go forward, what I'll do is, all the video recordings are going to be posted in here as well. But I'll start keeping a list of some of the commonly asked questions and populating this here. So if there's any other questions you have, feel free to shoot them over, and we'll kind of keep them. Keep them driven here in this section. But today, entry triggers. None. I was really surprised. I thought for sure we'd see a few. I thought Nike would for sure give us an upside signal, but it hasn't. Yes, there are some things that are close. Coca-Cola, which at one point today, when it was holding its gain, was looking like it could set up for a trigger, but has failed to hold its gain, and failed to hold any sort of trigger there. Walmart has kind of just blasted off here. This is one that came close, but when you run the regression performance and the risk performance metric on it, just way too high there with it. So no new triggers out there today. Halliburton, opened up higher, reversed on lower. This is one that, if it were to rally 20 cents into the close, it would be a trigger. So, it obviously could be a trigger here on Monday, but no new triggers coming in here this afternoon. So I'm not going to make a new trade here for the beta testing here with the challenge. But what I am going to do is discuss some of the questions that have come in. Let's start with the easy one. Well, they're all easy. Let's start with the one I posted in here. How many trade triggers per week are there on average? And when you look at the watch list that I have here of these 50 stocks, right? Of these 50 stocks, the reason I put 50 and not 40 or not 60 or not 30 or 20 is to get a decent pace of signals. I don't want to be in a situation where where we go a lot of days without signals, but I also don't want to be just overly inundated with signals. And so this size of a watch list with these stocks, on average, we're going to be looking at about 4 to 6 signals a week coming on in. Some weeks will be a little higher, some weeks will be a little bit lower, just depending on what's going on out there. But that's about what I expect, 4 to 6 a week. And, I expect that we should be able to trade 2 to 3 of those, so about half of those every week is about my expectation with this setup here. So that's, easy there, about 4 to 6 a week here with it. And, it'll obviously vary over time. The other question is, what's the future of the challenge here? What about the live? Obviously, I'm not live trading this test here, at least not yet. In fact, when I do live trade one of these trades, I will let you know which ones I live trade, and I will live trade some of them personally, just simply because I like them, and others will just be part of the system. Okay, but what's the future of the challenge and everything else? Well, there's currently a 100K challenge going on now. For it to continue, I need a pretty good help from EEM. I need a pretty good drop here from EEM, below 43. Could it happen by next Friday? It could. It could. We've seen 2-day drops that have been, intense here with EEM many times, right? It's not out of the realm of possibilities. Is it highly probable? No, it's not in that highly probable type of scenario there. So that would close the current challenge that I have. I know we have a couple $100 in cash left for that, but I would close the current challenge that is open. Now, in terms of the next challenge to live trade, okay, that is something that going to be continued, will not end no matter what, what happens here. This is kind of what my expectation is. And again, it's subject to change, right? It's subject to change. But my expectation is that after this beta test, take it, start running it with live money and go. That's my expectation, because I want this to be the consistent element of Trader Minute. There's always been this kind of, struggle to create this balance in Trader Minute between the consistency of information and data and of challenge trades and my inherent variance, right? I'm not a consistent trader. I don't have consistent rules. I don't go out and trade all the time and every day and all. I go in sometimes and I'm really active, really really engaged, and other times I'm just kind of watching it out of the corner of my eye. Right? And that's the way it's always been for me. Right? And you guys know that. And that variance comes into the challenge, even though, there's challenge. I want to get a little more, structure or a little more consistency for the community and all of that. And finding that balance between the variance and the consistency. So here's my expectation. My expectation is that, this challenge automation, right, which is probably just the absolute wrong word to use for it, but the automation of decisions within the challenge, right, is what I'm trying to set up to be very consistent and to be that consistent piece, always running, right? Always consistently running, never stopping, just, always going there. The signals are always in, people can pick and choose different signals they want. You can see the decision-making process in action, and that this becomes that consistent element here, with Trader Minute to go with that market vibe, right? And that's my expectation, right? And then that I can get on and continue to be me, right? That I can go on and run a Jeff challenge a little bit and kind of have, hey, you know what? I'm going to jump on here for 3-4 months, run a challenge, and then you know what? A month or two, I'll just kind of, I'll dabble a little bit here and there. We'll talk about where things are, but I won't have that same intensity. But I'll run the challenges, my personal challenges, when I'm in those intensity of trade moments, or time periods, and that's generally, that's been a lot more lately than it's been, historically, but, that's just simply because of the site and the community and everything. So, that's my expectation. And at times, there'll be kind of two challenges running. There'll be that kind of this consistency of the auto challenge here, and then Jeff's challenge where I'm just making the trades that I like, that I see, and I put my personal kind of spins into it and run with that, and see if I can outpace the consistency metric here. So that's my expectation, right? That is my expectation. I don't know an exact date when the next challenge will start. Right, and I don't know 100% if it'll be based off of, if it'll be implementing this part or this kind of challenge automation first, or if I run another challenge while continuing to test this. Beforehand, I'll probably have a decision made in a week or two here on that, but I want more data here with this, automated challenge. And then let's face it, one of the things that I want to know, from those of you that hear my voice, right? Those of you that hear my voice, most of you've been with Trader Minute for a long time, right? You know what Trader Minute's about. You know what I'm about. You know who I am. And I would love your thoughts, right? As this starts to materialize, I would love your thoughts. Do you want to see, just Jeff's trades and, what, I pop on here and there and go? Or do you want to see this consistent element, with my personal trades, kind of what I've talked about? Which style do you want to see? Both, it's something that I'll kind of, be judging some of the feedback and going with it. But, one of the things that I personally, need over the course of the year is I need times where I can just throttle down with fewer trades personally. And the challenge doesn't really give me that opportunity, right? It doesn't give me that opportunity. And I know, historically, I've taken a week off here and there and, done stuff. It hasn't been a big deal, but I would like for, there to be this just ultra consistent element of the challenge. So that, members are just consistently, pulling money out of the market using this methodology. And, when there's, unique opportunities, we can step in and I can step in a personal challenge and have some fun there. Okay. So anyway, that's my thought there on that. Again, if you have any other questions on it, please just shoot them on over to me, and happy to take a look at them and answer them. Another question that was asked is, will I be sharing the algorithm in terms of the algorithm that the challenge is using? And the answer is no, I won't. The algorithm incorporates a lot of the principles that we've taught over the years. A lot of the different things I do. I will show you bits and bobs and bits and pieces of it. But one of the other parts about this is I think there are a variety of algorithms that could actually be thrown in here. I don't think it's all based on, there's this magic algorithm in Go. I think the challenge structure in and of itself, if you get the options right, whatever you're trading, whatever you're getting into, as long as it has some model of consistency, will work. Will kind of, will work in this method. Now, will it have enough signals? Will it have enough, triggers? Is it a signal based on the time frame, matching the time frame of the options, right? It's one thing to get a day trade signal and then trade a 2-month option. You got to kind of match them up a little bit, right? And so, that's what this algorithm is. It's matching it up, and it's one that has it has about that 68% consistency. Where about 68% of the time, the trade is going to go in the direction that the signal came in. Could I tune that up to be more consistent? I could. But you start to do that, and what do you get? You get a lot fewer triggers, right? You can tune it up to be a 90% type of a thing, right? But how many triggers are you going to get? And then what's going to be the loss on the time where it doesn't work, right? Because you can make it work. You can make more trades work by giving it a bigger range, a bigger kind of stop area, longer time periods to materialize, right? I mean, when I own Disney shares, right, I can hold them, and you know what? I can weather this pullback in 2015, and it pulls back from 110 to 90, and ultimately I can be right. Is that going to work for an option trade? No, it's not. And so you can set up algorithms that have a high probability of being right, and right over a longer, and you get that by adding more time, and you get that by making it a lot more exacting, right? But the two things you do, adding time, is you take out the variable of options being, applicable, and when you add more, parameters, so to speak, you essentially get a lot fewer triggers to where you can make it so that you get one or two a year there with it, and that balance is the trick, and that balance is the part that any quant kind of deals with when it comes to trading the market. So this algorithm is geared towards challenge trades. It's something where I would love to run a challenge based on the trend rider, and I've done a lot of work with trend rider signals and with applying challenge trades. And the reality is, when it works, it's phenomenal. It's a lot of fun. It really is phenomenal. It just doesn't work all that, all consistently enough for it to be something that I can apply the challenge methodology, here too. So, anyway, that's kind of that. Well, that's my thoughts there on that. Okay. So anyway, yeah, very interested in your thoughts, and as this evolves, and as this carries on forward, but we'll. Some have kind of looked and said, well, Jeff, is this you stepping away? And the answer is absolutely not, in no way, shape, or form. In fact, ultimately, I would like to bring some more things in, right? If we can get the challenge, if this challenge automation can function and function properly, now we could kind of turn some of the chat room stuff back on, for an hour or two a day, and have that freedom where chat doesn't just turn into, well, what do you think of the challenge trade? And well, the challenge trade just moved 10 cents, or the challenge trade just did this, and to where I can't, to where it just kind of becomes that, that singular focus, to where the chat room can be much more about, what's going on out there, some of the other stuff, some of the fun stuff, some of the, fun setups that are out there, and, make that part of it. So ultimately that's what I'm looking at, but, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. And, it's one that Jason reminds me of a lot. He goes, well, Jeff, if the challenge works, go to 100K. No matter how we do it or what we do with it, everyone's going to be happy. And, if challenge goes to zero, no matter how many things are working and going fantastically, it's not going to feel good. Right? It's not going to feel good, and that's that's some of the reality. I don't think that's the full reality. I know some of you that are listening to my voice, you're out managing money. You're out either managing your own. There's several of you hear my voice that are fund managers out there that are managing larger portions of funds, and taking some of the concepts and some of the things that we look at and applying them there. And so, it's not, all about the challenge for everyone, but, let's face it, it's about the challenge, right? It's about the challenge going, and that's what, that's what we all want. And, that's what I will make happen. Okay. Alrighty. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend, and we'll talk to you Monday morning. Take care.